It started as an ordinary day in the suburbs. Sunny skies, fresh paint on picket fences, manicured lawns glistening with sprinklers. But behind those perfect doors, not everyone was welcome. Meet Andre Johnson, 32 years old, a hard-working black man who grew up with nothing, but had built himself into something. He was soft-spoken, polite, but carried an aura of quiet determination. Andre had spent years saving, sacrificing, building his credit, and dreaming. And finally, the day came. He was ready to buy a home. Not just any home. A house for his family. A place his little daughter could run in the backyard. A place his wife could finally call their own. Andre walked into the office of Melissa Green, the top real estate agent in town. Melissa was known for her charm with clients, but also for her sharp tongue when she thought no one important was listening. She was a woman in her 40s, with a designer blazer, a forced smile, and eyes that scanned Andre up and down the moment he walked in. To her, he didn't look like a serious buyer. To her, he didn't look like someone who belonged in her neighborhood. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone sugar-coated but dismissive. "Yes," Andre said calmly. "I'd like to schedule a tour. I'm interested in the house on Cedar Lane." Melissa's smile froze. The house on Cedar Lane wasn't just any property. It was the crown jewel of the market, a 4-bedroom home worth nearly $1 million. She laughed, actually laughed right in his face. "Oh, I'm sorry, sir," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Perhaps you meant one of the starter homes, something a little more in your range?" Andre's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. "I know what I want," he said firmly, "and I can afford it." Melissa smirked, folding her arms. "Look, houses like that aren't for everyone. Maybe if you keep saving, you'll get there someday. But for now, let's be realistic." Her words cut deep. They weren't just about money. They were about him, about who she thought he was. But Andre wasn't backing down. He pulled out a folder, neatly organized, filled with documents. Pre-approval letters, bank statements, proof of funds, the paperwork of a man who had worked twice as hard for half as much, and finally made it. Melissa's smile faltered. She skimmed the papers, her arrogance cracking. But instead of apologizing, she doubled down. "Well, paperwork is one thing," she muttered, "but sellers have the final say. And in this neighborhood, people like to know who's moving in." Andre stared at her. He knew exactly what she meant. And in that moment, he realized this wasn't just about buying a house. This was about proving something far bigger. The next day, Melissa reluctantly agreed to show him the house. But during the tour, she made snide comments every step of the way. "These finishes are very high-end. Maintenance can be expensive. Most buyers around here drive luxury cars. You'd have to fit in, you know?" Andre ignored her. He was already imagining his daughter's laughter echoing through the hallways. But just as he started to believe it could all work out, Melissa leaned in with a smirk. "You should know, I already have an interested buyer. A serious buyer." She emphasized the word, making it clear what she thought Andre was not. "And frankly, I doubt the sellers would accept your offer." Andre took a deep breath. He could have walked away. He could have swallowed the insult. But instead, he decided it was time to show her exactly who she was underestimating. That night, he made the call. Not to Melissa, not to the sellers, but to someone else entirely. The next morning, Melissa strutted into the office, ready to dismiss Andre once and for all. But her confidence vanished when she saw who was waiting in the conference room. The seller, the homeowner of the Cedar Lane property. And sitting beside him, Andre. Melissa froze. Her voice cracked. "Wow, what is he doing here?" The seller smiled warmly at Andre. "Mr. Johnson and I had a very productive conversation last night. He's everything we want in a buyer. Reliable, honest, qualified." Melissa's face went pale. Her power gone in an instant. She had tried to humiliate him. She had tried to deny him. But Andre had gone directly to the source. And now, the house, the very one she swore he could never afford, was within his reach. The room went silent. Melissa's arrogance was replaced with panic. Andre's quiet strength had turned the tables. But just when victory seemed certain, something happened. The door swung open, and in walked a man in a tailored suit. Confident, cold, Melissa's ally, the head broker of the agency, and a man with far more power than Melissa herself. His eyes narrowed at Andre. Well, he said slowly. Looks like we've got ourselves a problem. And just like that, the game changed again. Because Andre wasn't just fighting Melissa anymore. He was up against an entire system built to keep people like him out. A system that wasn't going to let him win quietly. The question wasn't whether Andre could buy the house. The question was how far they were willing to go to stop him. And the answer was about to shake everything. Because what Andre revealed next would turn the battle into something much bigger than a house. The room went silent. Melissa stood frozen, her smugness stripped away, while Andre sat tall, calm, and unshaken. The seller had made it clear Andre was the kind of buyer they wanted. But then the air shifted. The head broker, Richard Hale, stepped forward. A man in his 50s, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a custom navy suit that screamed power. His voice was smooth, but his eyes were sharp, cold, and calculating. Well, he said, glancing at Andre with thinly veiled disdain. Looks like we've got ourselves a misunderstanding. Melissa's relief was instant. She clung to Richard like a lifeline. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Mr. Johnson, he just doesn't quite fit the neighborhood. Richard smirked. Don't worry, Melissa. I'll take it from here. He turned to Andre, folding his arms. You may have some paperwork, Mr. Johnson. You may even have some money in the bank. But houses in this neighborhood don't sell just because you want them to. They sell to people who belong. The words dripped like poison. Andre's jaw tightened. He had expected Melissa's arrogance. But Richard? Richard was playing on an entirely different level. The seller shifted uncomfortably. I don't care about any of that, the seller said. What matters is that Andre can afford it. And he's the type of man I want living here. But Richard only smiled wider, his confidence unshaken. You may think that now, he said smoothly. But I run this agency. I control the listings. And I can assure you, this house will never make it into his hands. Melissa grinned again, emboldened by Richard's words. It was as if the walls of the room leaned in, closing around Andre. The system wasn't built to let men like him win. Not easily. Not quietly. But Andre didn't flinch. He leaned forward, his voice steady. You're right about one thing. This isn't just about a house. It's about power. And I know something about power. You only think you have it until someone stronger stands in front of you. Richard chuckled, his arrogance unwavering. And who's going to stand in front of me, Mr. Johnson?
You.
Andre's lips curved into the faintest smile. No, he said slowly. Someone you're not expecting. And before Richard could respond, the conference room door opened. Footsteps echoed on the polished floor. Every head turned. And in walked a figure who made Richard's smirk vanish instantly. Because standing in that doorway was someone Richard knew. Someone powerful enough to challenge him. Someone Andre had been waiting to introduce all along. The tension was electric. Melissa's mouth fell open. Richard's jaw clenched. Andre sat calmly, watching it all unfold. And in that moment, everyone in the room realized the battle wasn't over. It was just beginning. Because the person who walked in was about to change everything. Subscriber for part 2.